Hi Refresh, welcome to another Sunday playlist. I hope that you're all keeping well, and I hope you like my first quarantine haircut that I had this week that my son gave me. Not too bad. I know it looks no different to how it did previously, but all good. So before we get started today, just a couple of words of encouragement. Somebody said this week that our world is no less unstable than it was 6 weeks ago, and that our God is no less in control than he was 6 weeks ago. We're living in in-between days, and that is exactly where the disciples were at this time, a few days after Jesus had risen from the dead. Jesus appeared to them, and he spoke peace into their fears, and he opened their eyes to see who he was. And they did loads of normal stuff together too. They had a barbecue on the beach, they had a fish supper together, normal everyday stuff with Jesus. One story is when Jesus appears to two of his disciples who are walking along the road to a village called Emmaus. At the time they don't recognise him, but then over dinner Jesus breaks bread and their eyes are opened. They see who he is. Jesus vanishes from their presence at that moment, and they turn to each other and say, "Didn't our hearts burn within us as he walked along the road beside us?" It was that fire in the heart that kept the disciples together, that they stuck at it at that time, that they worshipped, that they prayed, and that they called on heaven, that fire would come. So how are we using our time at the moment? In what can be quite uncertain, it can be quite lonely, it can be quite difficult for what we're facing at this time. But maybe it is a time to press in and to pray together, to call on heaven that fire would fall. The church has been praying for years for a new fresh awakening and a new revival of God's Spirit. Well, maybe this is our time to pray together. So let's lift up his name this morning in worship. Let's get into his word, and let's have a great week, and bless you all today.